My name is Emily Carter. I'm 33, a mother, a financial consultant, and for now, a motel guest. Most mornings start the same. I stir powdered creamer into burnt motel coffee, watch Liam draw dinosaurs on the back of a takeout menu, and scroll past unread messages from numbers I've stopped saving. We've been here a week. 1 bag each. His stuffed turtle. My laptop. A drawer that smells faintly of bleach and regret. Matt says we'll figure it out. That it's just a pause. But this doesn't feel like a pause. It feels like something ended and no one had the courage to say it out loud. Before all this, I thought loyalty was enough. That if I showed up, paid quietly, smiled through bitterness, someone would eventually see me. I was wrong. Some truths don't come in a single blow. They arrive slowly, after you've already packed your life in silence. I didn't always live out of suitcases. There was a time when I believed helping meant I belonged. Every month, I wired money to my parents, sometimes $200, sometimes more. The electric bill. A car repair. Groceries when the fridge was looking a little empty. They never asked directly. They didn't have to. I just filled in the gaps. Sabrina never had to. She lived at home, no rent, no pressure. She baked once a month and called it contribution. Mom would brag about her homemade touch during Sunday dinners while I placed takeout containers on the counter and quietly paid the Uber Eats charge. Even when I had Liam, I still showed up. Brought pasta bakes, paid for birthday cakes, helped Sabrina with her resume, even though she never applied anywhere. Dad once called me reliable, like it was a compliment. But that's all I ever was, reliable, expected, invisible. At every family gathering, they'd set 6 chairs. Always 6. 1 for each adult, and Sabrina's dog usually got a spot before Liam did. I learned to balance him on my lap while cutting his food with one hand. No one offered a booster. No one noticed. One Thanksgiving, I brought Liam's favorite mac and cheese. Homemade. Baked. But when Mom passed it around, she laughed, Emily's still learning. But bless her effort. The bowl came back half full. I smiled. I always smiled. Even when Sabrina joked, maybe next time, just bring the box kind. When Liam started school, I texted Mom pictures of his drawings. She'd heart react them, then follow up asking if I could cover the heating bill. Again. The requests never stopped. The gratitude never came. Once, when I had the flu, I missed a Sunday dinner. Sabrina posted a picture of the table, captioned, "Just us today." Peaceful. That word, peaceful, stung more than any insult. Still, I kept going. Kept giving. Because somewhere deep down, I thought if I gave enough, they'd finally make room for me. That they'd say, "Sit down, Emily. This chair's for you." But chairs stayed missing. Names stayed off group messages. And smiles stayed polite, never warm. I told Matt once, maybe I'm just not doing enough. He looked at me, tired, and said nothing. And that silence? It said everything. The night everything shifted started out quiet. We were driving back from a last-minute weekend trip Matt had planned. He said Liam needed a change of scenery. I think he meant me. We stayed at a cheap Airbnb 2 towns over, nothing fancy, just a small playground and a kitchen with chipped tiles. Liam drew dinosaurs on napkins. I pretended not to notice the mold in the shower. On the way home, Liam sat in the back seat humming, clutching a wrinkled drawing he made that morning. "I'm gonna show Grandma," he said. "She'll love the colors." I smiled through the rearview mirror. "She'll like it, baby." But when we turned onto my parents' street, my stomach sank. There, on the front porch, sat our things. Suitcases, garbage bags, plastic bins. Liam's toy box cracked open, his stuffed turtle hanging out like it had been thrown. "Mom?" he asked. "Why is our stuff outside?" Matt parked without a word. I got out slowly, legs heavy. Walked up the porch steps, heart pounding. The door cracked open an inch. Mom stood there, arms crossed, face calm. "It's time you stood on your own, Emily," she said. I blinked. "What?" "We talked. As a family. It's not personal. We voted." "You voted?" I said, voice catching. "You mean, like a vote?" Mom nodded once. We need stability. You've had time. We thought this was best. Behind her, Sabrina leaned against the hallway wall, arms folded. She didn't speak. Just stared. I wanted to scream. Instead, I checked my phone. A message from Jenna, my cousin. A screenshot. Family group chat. I wasn't in it. She's not pulling her weight. She's had long enough. We all agree, it's time. I'll handle it. Just act normal around her. They didn't just let me go. They planned it. Matt stood beside me, reading over my shoulder. They planned this? He asked. No, I whispered. They executed it. Behind us, Liam clutched his drawing. Did I do something bad? I shook my head, kneeling to him. No, sweetheart. Not you. He looked at the house. Why won't they let us in? I didn't have an answer. We packed what we could. Left the rest behind. Back at the motel, I stared at the pile of laundry in the corner and felt something snap. Not loudly. Just a quiet internal break. Like something important had quietly folded in half. Matt sat in the corner scrolling his phone, offering silence like a blanket. I didn't want comfort. I wanted to be seen. Later that night, Liam curled up beside me, still holding his drawing. The color smudged now, edges wrinkled. I lay awake, eyes burning. I used to think sacrifice meant love. But now I knew, if they can vote you out, they never plan to let you stay. I didn't cry that night. Not when Liam asked if Grandma would still like his drawing. Not when Matt suggested we could crash at his cousin's place just for a bit. Not even when I opened the drawer at the motel and saw the welcome packet still untouched, as if I were a guest in someone else's crisis. I just sat. My hands moved without thinking, folding Liam's pajamas, sorting our laundry into piles on the motel floor. Somewhere between his tiny socks and my crumpled work blouse, the numbness cracked. Not into rage. Into realization. They didn't want me. They tolerated me. And when it got inconvenient, they removed me like a splinter. The next morning, Liam snored softly beside me, curled up like a question I couldn't answer. I slipped out of bed, pulled on jeans, and walked down to the front desk. The clerk told me about a diner 2 blocks away. I nodded, thanked him, and stepped outside into the chill. It smelled like wet pavement and burnt coffee. Everything did now. I slid into a booth at the diner, ordered black coffee, and texted my friend Tanya. Can Liam nap at your place later? Just need a couple hours. She replied instantly. Of course. Take all the time you need. The courthouse sat across the street, looming in gray. I hadn't planned to go in. I just needed to see it. Needed to remind myself that decisions weren't only made in group chats. Some were made in rooms that echoed. Some were written down. Matt showed up 10 minutes later. Hair damp, shirt untucked. He slid into the seat across from me without a word. I stirred my coffee, slow. Do you think they ever respected me? He blinked. What? My family. Your family. Any of them. Do you think they ever respected me? He looked down. They're old-fashioned, Emily. They don't mean. I'm not asking what they meant. My voice was steady. I'm asking what you think. He hesitated. I think, it doesn't matter anymore. I nodded. You're right. He reached across the table, rested his hand over mine. I didn't pull away. But I didn't squeeze back either. Because that hand had once patted my leg under the Thanksgiving table when Sabrina mocked my side hustle. That hand had said, let it go. That hand had told me to make peace instead of making space for myself. I looked at him, then gently slid my hand free. I'm tired, Matt. But not sleepy tired. Tired of being the extra. Tired of explaining why I deserve a seat. He sat back, jaw tight. Where are you going? He asked. I stood, grabbed my coat. To stop asking people to choose me. Outside, the air bit at my cheeks. But I welcomed the sting. It was the first thing I'd felt in days that wasn't disappointment. I didn't go to the courthouse. Not yet. But I stood across from it, hands buried in my pockets, and thought, maybe I don't need a judge to say I matter. Maybe I just need to stop standing in rooms where I don't. The motel had a laundry room tucked behind the ice machine, a tiny space that smelled like old detergent and broken promises. That's where I was the next day, sitting on a plastic chair, waiting for Liam's Spider-Man hoodie to finish tumbling, when I found the folder. It was buried in an old email thread. Subject line: Draft, Greer Estate for review. I clicked. A PDF opened. My name, Emily Carter, sat clearly under primary beneficiary. Grandpa's house, the little two-bedroom on Beechwood Lane, had been left to me. I remembered that summer. Cutting the grass, fixing the porch light, sitting beside him during his oxygen treatments. He used to call me his steady one. Then I noticed the date, July 2019. 6 months later, another file. Same lawyer. Same header. But my name was gone. Replaced with Sabrina Carter. No explanation. No update. Just, swapped. I didn't cry. Not even when I realized the timing lined up exactly with when Sabrina started visiting Grandpa more. Always with pastries. Always with that college friend who happened to study estate law. That night, I forwarded both files to Monica, a former coworker who had gone to paralegal school. I saved copies to the cloud. Printed hard copies. Backed them up on a flash drive. When they take everything from you, what's left is clarity. And finally, I had it. The next day, we were invited to lunch at Aunt Marianne's. Matt insisted we go. It's just lunch, he said. Maybe it's time to rebuild. I didn't argue. I didn't agree either. I just packed a coloring book for Liam and wore clean jeans. When we arrived, the backyard buzzed with familiar voices. Sabrina was already by the grill, laughing like she owned the air. Her daughter, Mia, tore open a gift, a rose gold iPad. Liam tugged my hand. That looks like the one we bought, Mommy. I leaned forward. It was. Still had the white Amazon barcode on the box, the same order I placed 2 months ago. The one Matt had signed for. I walked across the yard. Took the iPad gently from Mia's hands. Peeled the sticker off. Held it up. This is mine. Silence. Just birds and the rustle of plastic cups. Sabrina blinked. Oh. I thought it got delivered to us by mistake. Must have been a long mistake, I said. Calm. Even. I put the iPad back in the box. Didn't raise my voice. Didn't accuse. Because I didn't need to. Later that night, back at the motel, Liam sat cross-legged on the bed, dipping fries in ketchup. Matt scrolled his phone, probably reading about politics or pretending to. I opened my laptop. Not to job hunt. Not to escape. But to speak. The camera flickered on. Hi, I said quietly. If you've ever given until your name disappeared, this is for you. I uploaded the video. No hashtags. No promo. Just truth. By morning, comments had poured in. Mothers. Sisters. Daughters. Each one whispering, me too. And for the first time in years, I felt something unfamiliar. Not rage. Not grief. Power. I wasn't shouting. I wasn't begging. I was done explaining why I mattered. And I had the receipts now, literal and emotional. They took the house. They took the credit. They took the chair Liam used to sit in. But I still had my voice. And I was finally using it. The courthouse smelled like dust and recycled air. Room 2B was small, barely bigger than a classroom. But it held weight. The kind of weight that settled in your chest, not on your shoulders. Matt sat beside me, silent. Liam was with Tanya for the morning. I clutched a manila folder in my lap. Inside, the will, the bank statements, and the printed emails. Everything they pretended didn't exist. Sabrina walked in like she was arriving for a lunch date, lipstick sharp, heels louder than her conscience. Mom followed, pearls tight around her neck, her face unreadable. The judge called the hearing to order. Monica stood. Calm, clear. We're here to dispute the sudden change in estate beneficiaries, she began, placing the 2 wills on the table. 6 months apart. One name disappears. Another appears. Then came the transfers. $1,200 for Grandpa's oxygen. $300 for his medication. Countless grocery deliveries. All from me. All documented. And finally, the recording. Sabrina's voice filled the courtroom speakers. Of course I used her money. She's too soft to fight back. No one moved. Even Mom blinked. When it was my turn, I didn't give a speech. I walked to Sabrina. Pulled out an envelope. Slipped in a blank check. In case you'd like to repay what I gave. Adjust for inflation. I said it softly, but the whole room heard. Then I turned to Mom. Reached into my tote. Pulled out the small wooden chair, Liam's chair. The one they claimed belonged to the house. The one I bought with my own money, on a rainy Tuesday, from a clearance rack. I cradled it like something sacred. Then I walked out. No shouting. No tears. No applause. Just me, my son's chair, and the quiet sound of doors closing behind me. Some people think justice is loud. But the loudest sound that day came from silence. From the click of a door. From the weight of a truth no one could deny. From the moment they realized, I didn't need their table. I had built my own. The sun poured through the east-facing windows of our new apartment. It wasn't big. 2 bedrooms, beige carpet, walls that still smelled like fresh paint. But it was ours. No porch light left on out of obligation. No room where I had to lower my voice. I unpacked the last box labeled Liam, books. His favorites went on the lowest shelf, The Very Hungry Caterpillar, Dragons Love Tacos, a dog-eared copy of Where the Wild Things Are. He hummed quietly in the next room, coloring a sunset like nothing had ever broken. For once, maybe it hadn't. Maybe it just bent enough for us to rebuild. I glanced at the corner of my screen, 82,107 subscribers. The video had traveled further than I expected. Messages flooded in. Not sympathy, recognition. I thought I was the only one. You just told my story better than I ever could. Matt called once. I didn't answer. He didn't leave a voicemail. Mom texted. We didn't know. We thought you'd always be there. I stared at it for a while. They didn't mean apology. They meant expectation. I put the phone down. Didn't respond. Later that afternoon, while sorting through paperwork, I found it again, the envelope Mom had once shoved under the motel door. 2 20s and a note, hope this helps you get back on your feet. The money was gone. But the paper was still there. Folded, softened at the edges. I didn't throw it out. I kept it. Because that envelope wasn't the insult. It was the proof. The last thing I ever gave them wasn't cash. It was my silence. My willingness to stay small in rooms that demanded it. Now, I had no room left for that. That evening, Liam and I walked to the corner park. He skipped ahead, stopping to pick dandelions. Then he turned and asked, "Do you think they'll ever say sorry?" I looked up at the sky, still the same one that stretched over every room I was erased from. Maybe, I said quietly. But we're not waiting for it anymore. Are we? Liam smiled and ran toward the swings. And I let go. That night, after Liam fell asleep, I sat at my desk and opened a new document. Strong Starts for Silent Women. That's what I typed at the top. A new series. A new chapter. Maybe even a new life. I didn't inherit the house. Or the name. Or the credit. I inherited something better. Myself. So if you're listening, quiet, tired, holding it all together, I see you. You don't need to wait for permission to leave the room. You've already earned the right to build your own. Have you ever been the one erased? Tell me. I'm listening.